everyone, Karen here, and today I have another pop-out card for you. Now this one is a little different than the one I did last week. This one, the supports are all the same height. So this is good if you want to do something a little smaller, or shorter I should say here, and then put wording or some background or something up here. So you'll notice that two of them come out an inch, and this is the same dimensions as the middle height of the first card I did. So there's one on each side. The one in the middle comes out 2 inches and then attaches to the front here. So it's a slightly different card. So let's get started with the front of the card. So I'm going to start off with a 5x7 card blank, which is 10 fold. So I have 14-inch paper, so I just took the 14-inch paper, folded it in half, and then cut it to 5 inches. If you don't have 14-inch paper, cut one piece 5x7, one 5x7.5, score at a 1/2 inch, and then glue the two together to make a 10-fold card. All right, so I have a piece of green. I have this green pretty gold paper, and that is the Crafter's Companion Black Pearl paper. And we're going to be using this butterfly, which is also Crafter's Companion, and this is an older set. It's called Butterflies in Flight. But I thought that would go well. And then just to show you, on the inside, it's going to also be Crafter's Companion, and this is called Butterfly Delight. And that I have everything all cut out and colored, ready to go over here to the side. Alright, so the measurements again, 5x7 card base, and then the green is a 6 3/4 by 4 3/4, and my pattern paper is 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. And I had to go that dimensions to get this to fit on here. So let's go ahead and glue this to the front. So it doesn't really matter what order we're going to glue these down on, because I'm going to put the butterflies on last, because they are going to overhang a little bit. Let me move this up a little bit. So the pattern paper will go in the middle, and that was a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4. Alright, so now I will take the 6 3/4 by 4 3/4 and glue that to the front of the 5x7 card. Just put a little glue on here. This will go in the middle. Make sure it's not upside down. And this will come right here. So now, I did put some teeny tiny little foam pads on the back of this, because it looked just a little flat when I put it on here without. So what I'm thinking is the happy birthday will be flat this time, and then the butterflies will be raised like this. So let me get the butterflies on here first. Let me peel all these little backing papers off. Alright, so let me place this down. So I want to make sure I have enough room for the happy birthday. And I am quite fine with it hanging off on the 3 sides. So I'll hang off a little bit here, here, and then here. Then the happy birthday will be flat. I will also hang that off a little bit. So there is the front of our card. Because this card is going to be shown open, so I didn't want to spend a lot of time on the front. So the first thing we're going to do is put paper on the top and bottom, and I'm going to use the same Black Pearl paper pad. And I have 2 papers that are 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. So I have to decide which way I want to put this. I think I will put it that way. Let me glue these down. I'm going to put the light side down. And it is not in the center. Put a little more glue on here. go. And we'll put the top on. And line this up. All right, press all of that down. And we'll give this a second to dry. We'll put a little more here in the corner. All right, now let's talk about the supports. So we have 4 pieces here. I have one piece, which is 1 by 3. I'll explain that in a second. I have 2 that are 1 by 9, and they are scored at 1 and 2. And then 5, 6, 7, and 8. So just like we did on the first pop-up card, the last 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 inches from the end are going to be scored. So we're going to make our square on the bottom. We have 2 of those. Now this one is one that's different. This is a 1 by 10. And this one is scored at 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So let me hold this up here for a moment so you can write this down. 9 by 1, score at 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. A 10 by 1, score at 1, 3, 6, 7, 8, and 9. And a 3 by 1. All right, now let's get gluing. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to form our box. Now you want to make sure you put glue right up to the edge or else you'll end up with a saggy card. So this gets folded to the first score line and come down. All right, I'll do that again with this one. So I'm going to put glue on this side of the first square. Make sure I go up to the edge. I'm going to flip it over to this first score line here. This will come to the first score line, and then I will lay the top down. And make sure that's all nice and flat. And I'm going to go in the other direction. Make sure that moves freely. Let's check the other one. And let me wipe my hands. Alright, so the 1 by 10 is going to be the same. We're going to put glue on the first square, making sure we're on the edge. So put glue on this side, flip it over, bring that first square to the first fold, the first score line, and fold it over. And that makes our square. Alright, so now I want the piece that is 1 by 10, and these are the 2 that are 1 by 9. Let me move this out of the way. Alright, so now, oh, that came off. I did not glue that on. That would help if I had glued that on. Alright, just put that in the middle. That was light in there, but not glued on. There we go, all set. Alright, so now we're ready to place our pieces inside the card. So we need to start with the 2 that are 1 by 9. Okay, now we want to make sure we leave room in the middle here for this one. So I'm just going to lay that there for sizing. And I'm going to take my 1 by 9. I'm going to squish it flat. I'm going to put glue on this side. Flip it over, put glue on the first square on this side. I'm going to come right to the fold. I'm going to move this one out of the way. And I'm going to close my card. Alright, so now I'm going to take glue. I'm going to put glue on this first section here. I'm going to fold it down and close my card. Now the second one, I'm going to do that all at once because it may be a lot easier for people to do that all in one step. Alright, so here's the other 1x9. I have my square, flatten my square. I'm going to put glue on this section here. Flip it over, put glue on the first section on this side. Make sure I'm coming up to the edge. I'm then going to fold this down because this is going to go on the card this way. So my little tail here, I'm going to fold it down and put glue on this first section here. Now I'm going to take this whole thing, put it in the card, make sure I have enough room to put this in between. Yep, plenty of room. Hold this down, close my card, and let everything grab. Okay, so now we have two. Now this is still a little wet. Let me close it for another second. Alright, so now our card should start standing up. So now we have this 1x3. So I am going to put some glue on the front. I'm going to tip this up so you can see it. On the front here, and on the front here, I'm going to take this 1x3, and I'm going to lay it here, right at the bottom there, and I'm going to close the card. Alright, so now I have a little spot here where I can take my 1x10, and here again, taking the square, mush the square, put glue on this side here, flip it over, glue on this side here, I can fold at the 3-inch mark, fold that down, put glue on that one. Now I'm not going to put it up against the card, I'm going to put it up against this paper. Alright, fold it down, make sure it's all on there, and fold. And make sure it grabs. Just give it a second. Depending on the kind of glue you're using, it will take a moment or two. Alright, so this is all set now. So now we have all three platforms. We have two that come out 1 inch. The one in the middle comes out 2 inches. Now I'm going to give this a second to dry before I start attaching everything. So while we do that, let's talk about what we have here. So I have a wishing you a fluttering good time on your special day. May your birthday be as bright and beautiful as wings of a butterfly. I then have from this set, the Butterfly Delight, I have these columns, and I have 5 of them, all colored, and I have 3 butterflies. I think 3 will be enough. I do have a stack of butterflies all cut and stamped if I decide I need more, but I'm going to start with these 3. And then I have 3 pieces of acetate. So I'm going to suspend the butterfly. So let's see if this is dry now. More or less. Probably good enough to continue on. I'm going to give everything a good press here. Make sure we're all nice and straight. And the card should now stand, which it does. Alright. So on the bottom here, what I want to do, I'm going to let that dry for a second. I am going to glue one of these to the bottom, and I'm going to glue the other one to the top. Now I'm going to use this edge here up against the writing, and nope, this edge. And the reason being is when you look at the edge, this one isn't as bumpy as this one. This one has this big little mountain here, or valley, depending on how you're looking at it. And that made it a little harder to line up. So I'm going to use this edge here up against my paper here. and I'm going to put the same edge on the bottom here. So this is what I'm going to do for my card on the bottom. So I'm going to lay it on here to make sure I'm not putting in too much space for what I was thinking. Nope, that's going to fit just fine. So I can do it without laying it in the card. Alright, so, you know, sometimes when you say something in your head and you think it in your head, and then when you put it in the card, it doesn't quite come out the way you intended. So, I'm going to use the less bumpy side, and I think about there, because I know I'm going to have to trim this off. So I'm just trying to decide where I want to trim it. Yeah, it should be good. Right about there. Alright. I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom. Now the bottom is going to go in the opposite direction because I want that same smoother shape there. Put some glue. I'm going to go right in the bottom of the edge. Make sure I still have room to sign the card. And bring it over this way. Because I do want to, I think I want to keep this side, and I'll cut the end of those flowers off. Or I guess they're little buds. Alright. Alright, now let me get my trimmer. And so all I'm going to do here is line up the edge of this paper here. And, oops. Acetate is still sitting there. Go to the other side, line up the edge, and chop that off. So now I have this to put inside the card. I get rid of my little scraps here. I bring in the card. Let me wipe this glue off first. Alright. Now this will come down here. Just like this. Yeah, I'm just going to put some glue on the back here. Now this will go, let's see, I think about here. So I have a little bit of space here and a little bit of space here at the top. Will be just like that. Alright, card. There we go. This will add weight to the bottom of the card and help keep it balanced. Alright, so now we are ready to decorate the top. So the first thing I'm going to do is I have 3 more of these flower strips. So I'm going to put them on here. Now I'm trying to decide if I want them to come all the way up or if I want to trim them. I'm leaning toward trimming them and then making it look like the butterflies are above. So this little section here is 3 inches that comes up. So from the base of the card, bottom of the card, to the fold is about 3 inches. So I'm going to go about 3 1/4 inches and cut these 3 off. So let me bring my trimmer back in. I'm going to be brave and cut them all at the same time. Alright, we get them all lined up. And I think I'm going to go 3 1/4 to make sure I'm covering the top of that little support. So we'll go 3 1/4. Maybe I'll go 3 1/2. Just feel like I'm cutting a lot off here. 3 1/2, and we'll cut that off. Alright, so I'm going to tip this up and stand up to do the rest of the decorating so you can see what I'm doing here. So now I'm going to take some glue, put this in the back, and I'm going to put this in the front, like that. And that will cover all of the support. Alright, so let's move this up out of the way. I have my 3 butterflies and the 3 pieces of acetate. Now, I haven't done this before, but I have this worked out in my head I'm pretty sure this is going to work. If not, we'll have to change it around a little bit. So I'm going to put 3 pieces of tear tape on the top of this acetate. Because I think what's going to happen here is I think I have to put the big butterfly in the front. I think that's what's going to happen. This would be a lot easier if I had smaller butterflies, but these are the ones I wanted to use. So this is what we're going to do. So we're going to take this piece and I'm going to attach it to the biggest butterfly. Now let's see if this is going to work, because I think I'm going to have to tuck this in here. Alright, so this can be here, and then that will come to here. So let me snip this off a little bit. I'm going to fold this over and see where that hits. Alright, so that's actually hitting at the top of the butterfly. So I am starting to think that I don't want acetate on that front one. I'm just going to stick a piece of foam tape on there. Because the butterfly cannot be any higher, let me move this up, can't be any higher than the top of your card here. So I am going to take a piece of foam, put it down here in the butterfly. I want to have it like that. I'll close my card and see if it picks it up. And it does. Alright, there we go. So now the biggest butterfly is in the front of the card. I think I am going to end up wanting a couple more butterflies on this, now that I see how this is all going to fit here. So now let's take another butterfly that's going to be in the back. Let's see, this one we should be able to put on some acetate. So if this butterfly is here, and take a piece of tape, this doesn't work, I will use foam. I'm thinking this might work. Alright, so this is going to be here. I'm going to hold this here. Now I know it's going to get tangled on the first one, and I will just flip it behind there. There we go. So that butterfly is now floating. Like this. Alright, so now I'm going to put a little glue on here so it is glued all the way to the top. The regular glue will dry, it just takes it a really long time. So I'll just put that on there to hold it. So let's do the other side. So we have our acetate. We're going to attach it to the butterfly. That. This butterfly will be over here. I want to put it as high as it can go. And let's put some tear tape on there. Find the end of the acetate here. Alright, so I'm going to lay this up toward the top where I want it. I'm going to take my card and I'm going to close it, pick it up, tuck the butterfly behind there so I have my spacing all correct. So now I have the 2 butterflies floating. So they're going to float like that. And that's what I was going for. So now I'm going to take the pieces that I cut, and I'm just going to put a piece of tear tape down the middle. Pull this off. This will get lined up with the bottom of the card, and I'm going to press. So now that's all covered. Do the same thing with this one. that paper off. I'll lay this down so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to turn this upside down so I can do it, but you can see what I'm doing. So I'm taking the flat edge that I cut, putting it on the base of the card, lay that down, and apply the tape. I'm just going to close the card again. Give it all a good push. All right. Let me make sure those are not going to get caught. Nope, that looks like it's operating fine. Alright. That is just fine. So I'm trying to decide if it needs another butterfly, because it's 3 butterflies. I have plenty over here. I went a little crazy when I was stamping these out. Well, maybe that does need one more butterfly up there. Alright, I'm going to finish coloring this in real quick. Alright, so this one I'm just going to put on foam. And I'm just going to attach it to the back of the card. And we'll put this over here. Alright, let's make sure nothing's going to get caught. So it opens, closes, opens, closes, nothing's catching. So I think we're all good. Let me look. Trying to decide if it needs any more butterflies. So after looking at this card for a few minutes, I decided it was a little plain. So what I want to do is these pieces I cut off here, I am going to glue them on here. I think I'm going to glue them on the front here. Oh, that looks better already. So we're going to put 2 of them in the front here. Let me flip this up so you can see what I'm doing. And this one will get glued here. On this side. Yeah, it just looked a little plain. Okay, that already looks a lot better. So now I have one more, so I have to decide where do I want to put this. So you know what I'm going to do? I'll take a little piece of foam. I am going to put it behind the butterfly. Peel off the backing. Now I'm going to position this to where this can't be taller than the butterfly, or else it will stick out of the card. So let's put this, before I press down too hard, and make sure, nope, it stays. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. There. Let me hold it like this, so you can see. That looks a lot better. Still nothing's catching. No crunchy sounds. Yeah, no, that's good. If you pull it further back than upright, it may get caught. But that should be fine. So there you go, butterfly garden. So if you like this card, give me a thumbs up, please, because that is indeed how YouTube counts everything. And think about subscribing to my channel. And until next time, stay crafty.